Okay, this is part one of your fuel injection series. Here's the overview of the Bosch CIS system, a little history on it. Earlier Volkswagen products, including the Beetle, the Bus, and I believe the Type 3, the squarebacks, notchbacks, they came with another type of fuel injection system called EFI, electronic fuel injection. If you've ever owned an EFI system, either in a bus or a Bug, you'll know that they were a disaster right from the start. In the 70s, mankind just didn't have the technological know-how to build a car that was reliable using a computer to control it. Now, of course, that's changed. Most cars built in the modern age have more computers than the Apollo spacecraft program and do more things, are able to control inputs and outputs vastly superior to anything made in the 70s or early to mid-80s. But back to CIS. Volkswagen got smart. They bought a system from Bosch called the Constant Injection System. An ingenious design, really. I'm surprised if it's not still in use, but it isn't, I don't think. The Bosch CIS injection system operates under the Continuous Fuel Injection System. That's what it stands for. What happens basically is your fuel pump pumps fuel into your fuel distributor. That's what sits on top of your air filter and has all the fuel lines coming out of it. That fuel distributor regulates the flow of gasoline going into those injectors and thereby controls the car as a carburetor would, simply by the airflow coming in from the bottom of the car. When you have air rushing past the airflow plate, that in itself meters the flow of air versus fuel to keep the system running at 14:1 air to fuel mixture. The perfect air to fuel mixture for passing emissions tests in the world. So that's the overview of the systems and why they were designed and how they were designed. Today, most modern cars are built with electronic fuel injection systems reminiscent of the 70s, however, vastly more complex and vastly more reliable. Most cars use sequential port injection now. That's where one cylinder fires fuel through the injector during its intake stroke. The other cylinders are shut off. On the Volkswagen system, all four injectors are firing continuously no matter what position the engine is in. Intake, exhaust, power, it doesn't matter. The newer systems use sequential port in a way to increase fuel economy. But as we all know in Volkswagens, fuel economy is not an issue. So, let's continue on. Next, in part two, I'll identify the four major components of the Bosch CIS fuel injection system, and then I'll show you in part three the differences between the earlier 77 to 1980 CIS system and the later 80 through 84 CIS-E system.